E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Guinois Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. The 6-minute webinar, oh my goodness gracious, what a wonderful tool and application it is that Don McGrath created, because imagine being able to create a presentation that could take 6 minutes or less, that has an introduction, it's got a body, it's got a close, and it has a call to action. Because so many times you click on, a product that you're interested in, and they go on for 20 minutes about what the problem is. And you finally get tired and you want to click on the red X up there in the upper right corner, and it says, "Are you sure you want to leave?" "Yep, you've wasted my time. I'm done with you." But the 6-minute webinar is so much more. It enables you to be able to communicate to your ideal client on how you can solve their need, be it by the use of your product, a program that you have, whatever it might be. You're able to communicate and select your ideal clients. And I use the 6-minute webinar many times. I'm going to give a presentation because it allows me to get, focused on my topic with my bullet points and everything in a nice firing order to hold the audience's attention. If you'd like to know more about the 6-minute webinar, just get us in touch with us here at inspiration at e360tv.com. You see it on the marquee there. That's our email address. Our staff will get it, and we will make sure that you get the information that you can make the decision. And we're going to be selecting people to give them a free 6-minute webinar, no charge. So be sure and take advantage of that. And also, too, we're brought to you by Mr. Bill Heinrich, a good friend of ours, his book, The 7 Levels of Truth. I'm going to hold this book up. The camera's not going to do it justice, but that's The 7 Levels of Truth. You can find it on Amazon. That's 30 years in the making of that book. Bill walked away from his life. He wanted to find out why he was so miserable. And Bill compiled all of this great information he found, and it created a new life for him, because having love and peace and joy in your heart and finding your purpose in life, that's when, that's when life begins for you. It really does. And I want to put Bill's website up there a little bit. I got a bunch of these selections here. So let me scroll down here a little bit. Here is the 7 Levels of Truth by Bill Heinrich. You can find it on Amazon. That's the name of it. And if you would like a complimentary 30-minute consultation with Bill to find out what's blocking your energy, he'll be more than happy to give you that. Just go to truelifepurposenow.com, just like you see right there on the marquee, truelifepurposenow.com. And just tell Bill you'd like to have a, complimentary consultation with him. I say 30 minutes. It may go 40 minutes. It's no big deal to him, though. But today, oh my goodness gracious, we got a young lady with us, and this day about finding health naturally. She's going to share some things about when I saw what she sent. Oh my goodness gracious, she's going to be opening up some areas that I was thinking herbs and things like this, but she's going to expand that a little bit. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the show Susan Shatzer. How you doing, young lady? She's laughing at me already.
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much. Yeah, alternative, huh?
Yeah, you bet. By the way, before we get started, just share with the folks a little bit out there about who you are, where you came from, your background, that sort of thing. all the good juicy stuff now, of course, you know.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim, so much. Thank you for having me. So, so
Thank
grateful
you. My
to be
pleasure.
here with you and with your audience.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm 54 years old, and 54 years ago, it was sort of one of those tumultuous times in the 60s. My mom's water broke on August 22nd. However, I decided not to come to the planet quite so yet. Took me 18 days to get here, Jim.
Mm.
September 8th, I was born. And it was
Wow.
from that moment forward that I realized that, there was a reason, a purpose that, I really needed to be here. Um,
Sure.
and had to make that, decision at that point
Mhm.
of deciding to arrive or not. And in doing so, it was really taking on a lot of purpose and destiny and the goal of why I'm here. And so I work with people all around the world now, having been through lots of different uh, tragedies and
Mhm.
complications and challenges, have been over and have seen the light on the other end of the tunnel. So I know what people are going through, and I'm
Mhm.
here to support humanity, helping the earth raise its vibrational frequency. And I've partnered up with a lot of different men and women around the world to create this as a possibility. So thank you again for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And we're so grateful that we have an avenue to be able to reach folks all the way around the world and be able to share some great information to them because any host that I know of, it's worth their weight in salt to say it's not about the host, it's about the content. The host really in reality, that's the person, reaches over here and says, okay, there's the website. I need to put in that marker here and I'm going to push this other button here in a few minutes and show you the email. But realistically, it has nothing to do with the host. It's all about the content because people tune in for the flow of energy of, wow, that's something I need to hear. As I was sharing with Susan before we went live, we never script a program. And if you're out there and you're thinking about doing a podcast or whatever you're wanting to do, please don't use a script because it will block the energy that will come your way. Because in every single, I've done, I don't know how many hundreds or maybe thousands of shows that I've done. We got over 6 million downloads on our radio show. And it's just a little, country boy podcast, nothing fancy. But You know, whenever you're talking with visiting with a guest, there's going to be ideas that come. It's come to like a little mini mastermind. When two people are talking, ideas start flowing, and an idea comes into your mind. It just may be the one thing one person out there in TV land needs to hear. And if that's the case, I've done my job, really. That's the way I look at it. And that's so if you're going to do a podcast, just focus on the content, throw the script away, and if you make a mistake, own it. You know, I got to share one little story out of school. I think Susan get a kick out of. Some of you folks that watched the show for a while, you may recall one time Donna. I've made Donna, my partner, snort on TV many times for some reason. I don't know. She thinks I got either a warped sense of humor or no sense at all. One of the two. Excuse me. I'm thinking about this one time. I really don't remember what I said. I honestly don't. But I looked over there and Donna's just falling apart. And she starts snorting. And she snorts. She snorted 4 or 5 times. She gets me giggling. And all we could do to end the show was just wave by and say something like, we'll be back tomorrow and end the broadcast. Neither one of us could talk. Forget her talking. She is snorting and carrying on and giggling, almost about to fall out of a chair. And my point being, people enjoy seeing the human side of you. They really do. We could have went in later on and edited it out, but no, we let it ride. And it's one of our more watched shows, you might say. Probably, hey, honey, come here and look at this. You ain't gonna believe these people. They're snorting and everything, carrying on. But it was really a great show for us. But Susan, I'm eating up your time and, eating up time for great information because you talk a lot about where science and how did you say it here? How science meets awareness. and natural healing your mind, your body, and your soul. And you're focusing on your thoughts and feelings, emotions, and the language and all. My goodness, that's a mouthful for me to say. So
Yeah.
how would you share some information on that I just read, please, or share it with the folks?
Yeah, I would love to. And about your snorting episode, I love it. You both were being so authentic. You were being real. I mean, how many times are we watching TV and it's all cut and pasted and edited? And
Mhm.
this is live. This is not recorded. You and I are live right now.
Oh yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. We're taking questions. So if anyone has any questions, they can just pop them right into the comments right below.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah.
we will
We're on
definitely,
Facebook. Hmm.
yeah, on
Yeah.
Facebook, we will definitely get those questions answered. And that is
Mhm.
why I'm here to support you.
Oh
So, yeah,
yeah.
I discovered through a lot of research that I had been doing that everything's energy. Like our
Oh
scientists
yeah.
tell us that our bodies are 99.9% space.
Hmm.
They're only matter considered matter or hard. You can knock on them
Hmm.
because of our thoughts. Like we have thought about it. And
Hmm.
it's so interesting when we look at that because when you think about when you were a child, you were taught your colors, you were taught your numbers, you were taught the alphabet. Like this is A, this is the sound it makes. This is number 1, 2, 3. This is how you write it. This is what it
Hmm.
means. This is the color. And so what happens is your body is actually receiving energy through sound. So you can
Hmm.
get the concepts and the consonants of the alphabet and the vowels and the numbers, but also visually you're receiving information. It's just a vibrational, energetic frequency. And so
Hmm.
your body is learning that this frequency is red, this frequency is blue, this frequency is green. So you start to become entrained at a very early age that
Hmm.
sounds, this body language, what you see, what you hear is all tied into what we consider our language, which
Hmm.
is a limitation because our language has a meaning and a definition, and it locks us into not having anything else arrive for us except what we've decided it already is.
Yeah. That's really amazing. I like the way you put that because the same thing is true with myths we've been taught all the way up because they become gospel in our lives because we don't know any difference. And it's just amazing how, and we sometimes we'll get on the defensive because we want to defend those myths because that's what we were told since we were knee high to a grasshopper. And we're going to defend those myths, even though they may be wrong.
It's so
Uh,
true. That
yeah.
is so true because we actually, I mean, if you look at parenting, right? We parent the way our parents parented, and like
Mhm.
they do what their parents did and they do what their parents before them did. And
Oh,
if you
yeah.
notice, Jim, do you notice how like our kids are more conscious than we are? And like we
Yeah, they
are
point
more
out my,
conscious than our parents, right? Would you
yeah.
agree?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. Because the
Yeah.
kids
So,
are, they're very much in tune because we don't realize how much they watch us. We really don't.
yep.
I
Yep.
mean, they're just like some of our pets we have in our lives. I mean, a dog can read your face just like an open book.
It's so funny you said that. Can you hear my cat in the background?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We I have a cat up here too, it's Dixie. She's been on TV, and sometimes she'll jump up here and like, who are these people? I don't see anybody.
Right, right.
And but yeah, it's amazing how kids are always watching us. And they're picking up things on us that we're not even realize we're transmitting.
Yes.
That's the
So
thing.
let me ask you, do you know the question that 2-year-olds ask all the time to their parents and
No,
adults?
I don't. No, I probably do, but I can't think of it.
Why?
Oh, why? Oh,
Why?
yeah,
Why? Why?
makes
Why?
perfect sense. Yeah.
Because would you like to know why they say why? They ask why? Because they're actually aware that there's a different possibility available to the adults, the parents, the grandparents, the
Yeah.
teachers, the neighbors in their lives that
Mhm.
they're not choosing. The adults are not choosing it because we've been trained and entrained in our life to act a certain way, be a certain way, say certain things, take on stuff for other people. And the kids
Mhm.
are like, well, why? And
Yeah.
it infuriates us, doesn't it? Like, how many times have we said, okay, enough with the questions? Like, this is your
Yeah.
life. Why?
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah. Suck it up.
Right? Right? It's because
Yeah.
I said so. And I
Yeah.
love that answer. It's because we don't have an answer for them. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like they're actually questioning our quote, and I call it humanity's insanity
Yeah.
because we
There we go. That's the
there's
belief system right
there's
there.
Tinkerbella.
Yeah. That's okay. I like it. What kind of kitty is Tinkerbell?
It is. She's a magician, let me tell you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What kind of kitty is she?
She's a Tonkinese. She's a cross
Oh,
between
okay.
a Vermes and a Siamese. Uh,
Yeah.
and she's an entity chaser. So she
Mm.
invites them in, chases them around, alerts me when they're here, and
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
interesting.
Have you
She's a
ever heard of a
conscious
Karat?
cat for sure.
Have you ever heard of the breed Karat, K-O-R-A-T, or Karat, however you pronounce that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about the breed. We go to an animal shelter and we pick up one, and a little gray kitten, and just something about it was unique. And I find out it's from Thailand, just like the Siamese. They're smaller, and they're just got a different personality, but they're Karat. That's what Dixie is. And I remember after I found that out, I was calling her K Rat one day, K, and she did not like it.
No.
She let me know, hey Buster, you don't call me names. And yeah, yeah, that's I.
Would you
I
like
tell
to
you
go?
right now, when it comes to an animal being the star, they put me in the back seat. They really do. But yeah, it's amazing how kids. I think also too when kids ask that question why, and because we said so, because it makes us a little uncomfortable. It feels like we got to self justify why we believe what we believe and all that. And I remember years ago reading a story. This was in Reader's Digest. This was probably back in the 70s or something. It's been a long time anyway. He was reading where he wrote in there about, some of the myths or something like that. I forget what it was called. But anyway, he watched his wife. She cut off both ends of the ham and she set it into the pan. And he thought, huh, wonder why you cut off both ends of the pan before you put it in the ham before you put it in the pan. She says, I don't know. My mom always did that. So time passes. One day he asked his mother-in-law when he thought about it, says, hey, how come you always cut the ends? He says, my wife cut the ends off the ham before she put it in the pan. I asked her why. I says, you already did it. And his mother-in-law says, well, I don't really know. My mother always did it. Okay. So then around Christmas time, he's over at where everybody's around, grandma's there. And he thinks about it. He goes up and he explains the story, how his wife, cuts off the ends of the hams and her daughter cuts off the ends of the ham. And they said, because you did it. So I'm just wondering, why'd you do it? She looked up at him. She says, so it would fit in a pan. But see, that's a classic example of how we can take something that may not mean what we think it means, but we can make it, gospel as far as our belief system.
Yes.
And that's why you got to be open-minded too, because I like what you say about energy, because everything, one of the hardest things it wasn't the hardest things, it was, it took me a while to get my mind around it. In this book here, Bill Heinrich talks about we're a vibration. Everything in the universe is a vibration. You're a vibration. I said, well, I know I'm probably got a couple of loose screws up there rattling, but but the idea of us being a vibration, how we create energy, and you just mentioned that a little bit, how everything is, in the notes I was reading there, how everything that we do and everything we have, it's energy.
Exactly. The food we eat, the clothes we wear, the technology we're using right now is all
Yeah.
energy. That's exactly what it is. And scientists tell us that energy can't be created or destroyed. However, it can transform. So if
Mm-hmm.
we're energy, we're in a body and our body
Mm-hmm.
is electrical. We have EKGs and
Mm-hmm.
EEGs, for our brain and our heart, but our
Oh
being
yeah.
is an acoustical vibrational being,
Yeah.
mass of energy. And so that actually means we've been here for the life of the universe.
Yeah.
You can't destroy us.
Oh, yeah. It's just our physical bodies were
Yeah,
created somewhere down the road. And
yeah.
that's one thing I've asked people, have you ever thought about what it was like? See, I was born in 1948. What if I was born in 1848 or 1748 or further back or maybe sometime in the future? I mean, what selected me to be, born on that day in 1948 that I was born? I mean, I didn't get a vote on it. I can tell you that. If I did, I was too young and too dumb to remember it. But, it just makes you wonder, what's your life purpose of being born at this point in time in life? What does that say about you? And that's a good starting point for someone to start to understand who they are, why they're here, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I call that soul's goals. It's your soul's goal. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's the, why are you here? What's your purpose? And what I discovered, Jim, is it happened, about a year or so ago. I was looking at New Year's resolutions. And
Mm-hmm.
it was coming to the end of the year almost about the same time we are now. And people were starting to think about, what they were going to give up, what they were going to change, what they were going to do
Mm-hmm.
differently. And then so I started doing some research because I thought every year my friends are choosing the same things. I'm going to quit this, quit that, change this, change that, alter this, add that, take that away.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same thing year after year. And I was wondering, okay, so why isn't there more success with the New
Mm-hmm.
Year's resolutions? So do you know where we got the New Year's resolutions from?
No, but I got an idea, folks. We're going to find out right now.
4,000 years ago, the Babylonians.
Oh, really? Wow.
That's how
Mm.
far back, and we're still doing it. But I'll tell you, it was so unsuccessful with them.
Mhm.
They were conquered in 100 years by the Persians, and we still
Mm.
have this tradition going on.
Mhm.
So just taking a look at, I did some research and come to find out like only 8% of the people that set a New Year's resolution actually attain it
Oh, yeah.
during that year. And over 45% of them actually end up dropping out of it within the first 30 days.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what is that? Like, that's a question. So I started doing some more research and I found out that we aren't actually um, working or doing or being what we came here to do or work on and to be. And so, in order for our soul to
Mm.
evolve, which is why we incarnated, I know you just asked, what am I doing here? Why?
Mhm.
It's for your soul's evolution. And
Mhm.
we all pre-decided, pre-agreed to, predetermined prior to
Mhm.
getting here that we would experience people treating us a certain way and us treating
Mhm.
people a certain way and receiving certain experiences in order for our soul to evolve. And
Yeah.
then you get to a certain point in your life, you're like, okay, this game is over with. I'm done. I got the message. So we don't have to
Mhm.
continue to loop around the track. And I'm from Florida. So I use the Indy 500,
Mhm.
the Daytona 500 as an example,
Yeah.
because we loop around and you
Mhm.
continue to do the same thing over and over again. And this is humanity's insanity, thinking and believing that you're going to create a different outcome. But what happens is you're looking for the checkered flag, Jim.
Mhm.
And sometimes you'll go to the inside lane, outside lane, you're going around, no checkered flag. You decide to go take a break in the pit. You got your tires changed. You take a break. You go on a retreat. You take a vacation. You start a new diet, whatever it happens to be for you. Then you get back on the track and you still keep looping. So, what
Oh,
if it's
yeah.
not the checkered flag? What if you're not looking for the win that everyone
Mm.
says you should have? What if you take the exit ramp? And
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's what I help people do, as well as I
Mhm.
work with consultants all around the world. It's Alita Consultants and Alita International Consultants. And we work with
Mhm.
people all around the world
Mm.
to help them find their exit ramp to actually have a
Oh.
different possibility with their business, their career, their
Mm.
love life, their bodies, their reality.
Mm. Oh,
Because it's
yeah.
possible, it's available. It's just we were never taught these things. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where we kind of come in and help out with our education process.
Oh, yeah. I need to ask you, do you know who Bill Heinrich is? Do you know him, Bill?
I don't, but I'm
I got to introduce you because, folks, I'm telling you, if those two got together on a show, I could sit back in the background, drink tea, and if I paid attention, I'd learn something. I can guarantee you that. Yeah, but Bill talks about, how we like one day I was talking to him, I says, Bill, I made a decision. And he says, Jim, stop making decisions. Decisions are not good for you. Oh,
That's
okay.
right.
All right.
That's right.
And he says, make options instead.
Yes.
And the reason why is because when you make a decision, you automatically build an invisible mental box. It's got parameters.
Yeah.
Everything has got to fit inside that box.
It's true. That's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
And that's when you start pushing a chain uphill.
Yes.
That's when you're going to try to force things uphill.
Yes.
And in Bill's philosophy, or what Bill told me, not his philosophy, what he told me was that he says, make choices instead. And
Yes.
follow the energy, because that
Yes.
will help you as long as you're putting forth a conscious effort for the right reason. The right reason is to be a blessing to others. That's going to lead you into the path where you are kind of like predestined to go to begin with.
Yes. Because anything else is where you're when you make a decision, you're in conclusion. You've decided something is a certain way, has to be a certain way. And what happens is you create that it's real, right, and relevant. There's your box.
Yeah.
And everything else has to fit inside of it versus what I like to say is he's talking about options. I like to say ask questions, because questions always empower you. Anything else really disempowers you. And so when someone decides like something is perfect, then nothing else can show up. And there is a sort of biblical story about that, in where a gentleman crossed over and was being led down the hallway and noticed his name on a door and asked the angel that was walking with him, what's in this door? And he says, oh, it's something that you really, would make you upset to see. And I don't, want you to be sad or upset about it. And oh no, I'm going in. So he opens the door and goes in. And this room is filled, like from top to bottom, as far as the eye could see, of all of these amazing things. And he said, wait, what are all these things? And the angel said to him, those are the things that you didn't ask for. And he said, well, what's that one specifically? And he said, when you asked for the car that you really wanted. And he said, yeah, oh, I got it. I loved it. I was so grateful. It was amazing. He says, well, that's the driver that God had for you to drive your car for you.
Amazing.
For it.
Yeah. I put up there
questions.
Yeah. I put up there The 7 Levels of Truth by Bill Heinrich. That's his book on Amazon. And Bill Heinrich, and I'll introduce you to via email after the show. Bill's website is truelifepurposenow.com. And this is a picture of Bill. And what's really amazing about him, I met Bill originally several years ago, 6-7 years ago at Speaking Empire. And we were down there, we were taking a break in the back room, and I went over, got some coffee, and Bill was sitting there, and I hadn't really talked to him that much. And I thought, well, I'll just sit down, have a cup of coffee with this guy, And within 5 minutes of asking me questions, he says, Jim, you need to write that and make a course out of it. And I had no earthly idea that's where that conversation is going to go, because he asked me a couple of questions. I answered him honestly, and that generated some more. And I created a course, Your Future is Now, and it's focused mainly about, a little bit about my journey. I cover one of my courses that I give away for free is the overcoming, glossophobia. I mean, I love sometimes I tell people that I used to have a chronic case of glossophobia, and people, they want to back up a little bit. They started practicing social distancing with me long before we heard of a pandemic. But glossophobia, glosso is the Greek term meaning the tongue, and the fear of public speaking. I used to be petrified of it. And people say, you? Yes, me, because it all happened when I was just a kid in the fourth grade. Third grade it was. We were going to do, I'm a teacher now, so we're going to do oral book reports. And immediately fear just gripped me. And we had to go to the school library. We had to check out a book. And we had to come back and let her record it, look at it and approve it, read it and give a book report. So I tell people the truth. We gave one the fall, one the spring. Both times when I walked into that library, the school library now, guess what kind of a book I was looking for? I was looking for the thinnest book they had. I didn't care if it was on basket weaving or zoology. I wanted the skinniest book that they had. If it had 2 or 3 pages in it, that's fine with me. But it was the worst experience of my life because when you stand, you can talk into in the audience and that's fine. But when you walk up there and you turn around and all those faces are on you, that's a different breed of cat. And I share that, in the story. And also I teach about the LLAR system. The first L means love. Everybody wants to be loved. There's no question about that. You are worthy to be loved. And the second L is liked. Everybody wants to be liked. And the third letter, A, stands for appreciated. Everyone wants to be appreciated. And the last letter, R, stands for respect. And I tell people, I know for a fact, Aretha Franklin knew when I graduated from high school in 1967, it was the #1 hit. Her song Respect, she knew I couldn't spell too well, so she spelled it out, RESPECT, just for me. I mean, it just really touched my heart for her to do that for me. You know what I mean?
I do.
Now, that was a joke. I hope you folks out. A very bad joke, I know, but best joke I had for the day. What can I say? But, it's so true because so many times we get caught up in the process of what we think our life should be like rather than the content. And when I came back from Vietnam in 1970, I was kind of out of place, you might say. I struggled with the big 3 for many years. Who I was, who I thought I was, and who did my family and friends think I was. It's not a good place to be, folks. But I've been there and I understand that. Excuse me. But when we talk about everything being, energetic on this earth and how we're full of energy, and that kid is going to, what you got to say?
It's screaming today.
Yeah. Probably saying, tell that guy over there to hush. Yeah. Probably telling that guy over there, hey, tell that guy over there, I'll tell him to hush. But, you're talking a lot about energy. A lot of people don't realize that everything in the universe is a vibration. Everything is an energy. It cannot be squelched. It can only be transformed. So when we actually, our physical bodies die, our energy is going to be transformed relocated to another place. Excuse me. It really will. And
actually, our body's energy transforms. We just become a being without a body, just energy without a body. Right now, we're energy with a body. And our body is 3-dimensional. Length, width, height is the 3D, which is what we're in now. But our energy without a body is not tied to the 3D, which we have here on Earth. Yeah.
It's not limited at all by any stretch of the imagination. I experienced that one time, actually right before I had surgery. And because people asked me how I felt when when they told me that I needed open heart surgery, I said, well, I'm frustrated more than anything else. I've been in the hospital the whole weekend being poked and prodded and everything else. And when I just said, hey, if the surgery goes well, I go home. If it doesn't go well, I go home. I was kind of frustrated because that wasn't the kind of news. I was supposed to be in an outpatient mode. Now I'm going to ICU to be prepped for surgery. Why wouldn't I be, aggravated? But then when I said that, there was a calm and a peace that came over me. And in that realm, it's the best way I can describe it, ladies and gentlemen. It's like being in a dark room. You turn on a light. The light illuminates the room instantly. I knew and understood everything instantly. And in the physical world, we have to explain it step by step by step. I knew the surgery would go well. I knew recovery would go well. I knew nothing could touch me. I knew I was loved, all these things. But I was replacing the physical air that I inhaled, and I was basically just inhaling love. And it's a beautiful place. It really is. I mean, and it wouldn't have made me mad if it took me out then, but I had to go through the surgery and still here. So what can I say? But that's my attitude in life. It really is. That's the way I look at life. because the energy that we're going to be, it will not be limited. Our energy here is limited because we're inside of a physical shell. And I don't mean we're not going to pass a collection plate or anything like that. I'm not trying to get religious or anything. But what I'm saying is that, we got to understand that the real us, the energetic us, is going to live exponentially, somewhere. And to know that we're not going to be limited. Oh my goodness gracious. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, we actually can create that right now.
We can create that right now.
Yeah, unlocking your limitless life. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Would you share a little bit about that?
Yeah.
I'm kind of, will that work for an old boy like me? Is kind of like mentally challenged and slowly in between years.
Well, what happens is your cup is full, Jim. It's like this full. So if I were to try to put anything else into your cup, like say this is your cup, right? And I try to put some more stuff into it, it's just going to spill onto the table and land on the floor and make a mess.
Okay.
So I have to dump your cup out first. So that's a process that we do. So I extract thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, rejections, separations, conclusions that you have and anyone else I work with out of your field. So because they no longer serve you. Like we have things from many, many lifetimes we brought in, many, many things were passed down to us from our parents and their parents and whatnot through our ancestry that don't apply to us anymore, but they're taking up space in our field. So it's sort of like if you look at your computer and you have all of those windows open at the top, right? Of all those different screens, all those different tabs. And then you're trying to work on the front screen, which is your life. Well, what happens? You don't have enough bandwidth to create anything. You get that Microsoft little rainbow wheel that starts spinning or it'll crash on you. That's what happens with our lives.
Yeah.
To take a little bit of time to extract out the things that no longer work for us. And then how even better is that you have more room in your energy field to invite in that which you'd like to have into your life. And that's where I support people and help people. And people have had pain. They've had anger. They've had fury and hate. They've had regret with things, and they no longer have that because they have an understanding of what that was. I'm able to go into your reality and I can see on a trajectory line, like your lifeline, your timeline of where you came in, where you've had points where you could have exited. Like for you, it was your surgery. You could have exited at that time. However, you chose to stay.
I did.
Yes. You, the being, chose to stay. And there are other times on people's lifelines. So I'm able to see like how far along you are, where you should be, where you're supposed to be, where you have to be, how much longer it's going to be, the challenges you've overcome, the blocks that you have. And I'm able to delete that for you. And that actually gives you greater expansion within your energy field, your mind, your body, and your soul. Because, we've been carrying that around for a really long time.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty interesting because, after my surgery, I took off in November and December to rest. And one of the questions that a few of my friends asked me was that, Jim, you going to retire now? When do you think about retiring? Because I'm 74 now and 73 then. I said, well, I just knew that I wasn't ready for retiring. I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, I live on 8.5 acres. I cut grass and all that, but I don't do that because I enjoy it. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not going to win any, blue ribbons at the county fair for my tomatoes. So we can, we can back up 5 and punt that one away. And I certainly don't want to sit on the back porch and watch my toenails grow. And, I tell people honestly, I enjoy what I do. And even though at times I'm a workaholic at it, but you know what? I really like what I do because I love being able to have guests and provide information on the show. And like I tell them, in all honesty, I believe this. I mean, it's the way I feel. This is the way I'm wired. I'm going to, probably quit working the day before I die. If I get a chance, I'll call you. And if not, I'll see you on the other side of the Jordan, I'll be waiting for you with a cup of coffee in my hand, but because I'm a coffeeholic. But that's my attitude. I mean, And I think a lot of it has to do with that. That's some of those myths where you get up to a certain age, well, you should retire and do what? And be unproductive? Come on. Because that's also, and I'm going to hear your opinion on that. We hadn't even planned this, but you notice how some people, when they retire their backyard and they start, you know, they'll wilt. They'll wilt. They start wilting right away. In a few years, they're dead. I'm going like, oh. And they
Yeah.
were so full of energy, you know,
Yes.
but they just,
It's
dry up.
interesting. It's interesting, Jim, that you bring this up because I was facilitating an international class, and I had a group of women there who were from the Caribbean, from the islands, and I had groups of people from different countries there,
Uh-huh.
and we were at lunch, and we were coming back from lunch, and they were having a discussion as I took the stage, and it was so interesting because they were asking about aging and olding, like getting older.
Mhm.
And so the Caribbean women were asking the women who were, from other countries about like, how do you do aging and olding? And so I ask you, Jim, like, how do we do it in America, in
Mhm.
Mexico and in, Canada and a lot of other countries, right? Your body starts to break down. So you move to
Mhm.
having what that helps you walk.
Oh yeah, walker or a cane.
A cane. And then from
Yeah,
the cane, you go to the
walker. Mhm.
walker. And from the
Mhm.
walker, you go to the
Wheelchair probably.
And from the wheelchair, you go to the
Bed.
bed, and then you're
Mhm.
dead, right?
Yeah.
So they don't actually do that in the islands.
Hmm.
And they were talking about how their elderly family members come and live with them, but everybody gets up in the morning and goes to the fields or does their task, their job that they're responsible
Okay.
for. And just when their elderly family members or elders are ready to cross over, they just don't wake up in the morning.
Hmm.
And it was an incredible eye-opening moment
Wow.
because if it was true for us, Jim, then it would be true for every human being.
Yeah.
But it's not the case, which means the way we're doing it is actually a lie. That there's another way that we can do
Mhm.
aging, olding, finishing, and crossing over.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's amazing how different cultures have their different ways of doing things.
Yeah, doesn't that
And
just blow up your reality though?
yeah, it really does. It sure does. And I'm familiar with some of the people in, especially Mexican people. The more family oriented they are, they're more so than we are, basically. And their approach on taking care of the elders. Because back in the '70s, I saw that it was just the way they did when elders, parents got older, they came to live with the kids. And I think my kids tell me good luck with that, or those veterans homes. Or I'm just teasing. I'm just having a little fun.
I'm like, are you telling the truth?
Yeah, but I have told my kids, I said when I get old and I can't, take care of myself, I don't want to be a burden to someone. I not really truly don't. And if I'm in an old soldier's home or whatever, I mean, I don't want to burden them. That's just my way of thinking
Yeah,
because
that's your choice.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It
Uh-huh.
really is. And so far they haven't argued with me about it. So I guess it was a good choice, because
Done
if it's a
deal.
good choice for me and a good choice for them, it's the only choice to make. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point.
It's what you're talking about is so true in the fact
Mhm.
that that's what I've researched. That's what I've been able
Yeah.
to discover is there's
Mhm.
so many things on the planet that we believe
Mhm.
is true and it's actually not at
Mhm.
all true for us. Like we've been yeah, like this reality is a simulation.
Mhm.
We are in a simulation and we are
Yeah.
just following through what everybody
Mhm.
else perceives us. I mean, how many of
Oh,
us
yeah.
went to college and studied what our parents wanted us to study? I mean, how many of us have
Mm.
turned out to be doctors or lawyers, but it's not really what we truly in our hearts had wanted to do.
Mm. Oh,
And we're
yeah.
off course, not aligning with our soul's goals.
Yeah.
And that has happened for so long, for so many years, for
Oh,
eons
yeah.
with that. I mean, our parents at one point wanted all of the girls to marry the money and the love will come.
Hmm.
because our parents knew that if we married the money, our lives would be easier for us than
Hmm.
if we didn't have money and we were in poverty. However, that's not something that is applicable now. It's
Hmm.
not true for us anymore.
Yeah.
It's not something that we have to choose our spouse, our
Hmm.
partners with any longer, but it's still running in the background.
Oh yeah.
Was talking about the computer with all those tabs open, like I go through and we X out all those tabs, like we collapse all of that stuff that's running in the background, all those beliefs and
Hmm.
separations and whatnot. And when we do that, you actually have more space to
Yes.
create your life. Like you're not
Yeah.
running from all of that old school
Hmm.
stuff in the
Oh
back.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
profound.
You're.
Like
You,
people's lives literally like do a 180 shift.
mhm. Yeah, I like the way you use the computer because I tell people that, with the random access memory we got, because we've had people, their internet would freeze or their screen would freeze. And it's, well, you've got too much, random access memory up there. And the best way I learn how to, I like to explain things in simple ways. I said, just picture a freeway, at rush hour. We all know rush hour is either 2.5 to 3 hours long, depending on where you live. But with all that traffic in there and it's rush hour, traffic moves very sluggish. And that is the same principle that's true with your random access memory. If you got all that stuff is sifting through there, it's going to takes a little while to get through everything straight. But if you close out all that stuff and empty out all that random access memory, then you got, more of a direct path and your computer's not working as hard. And that's the best way I like to explain things because I was an instructor. I used to talk about nobody can see electricity, but they can understand water, you know. And I used to relate water, like you only get so much, energy down electrical current. It's like a half-inch water hose. If you got a half-inch water hose, you turn it on, you don't get so much water. You put on a 3/4 inch hose, you're gonna have more water. It's the same principle. It's just that they can see it, and electricity they can't. And it's really amazing too when you talk about myths. This is one myth that you mentioned. It used to be, gospel that the 4 minute mile, for example. I'm going to go back to that real quickly. That can never be broken. If you believe that, you're either a space cadet or you're smoking dope or something's wrong with you.
Yeah, the
But
doctor said your heart and lungs would explode.
yes,
Yes.
there
Like you
was one
die, it
person
would kill
though.
you. Mhm.
Yeah, there's one person didn't get that memo, isn't it?
Roger Bannister.
Yep.
Yeah, and
And
so a lot of that I see a lot of that happening today.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Scientists or doctors or our families have told us a certain thing is a certain way and it has to be because whatever the reason.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and we just blow that up.
Mhm. Oh yeah. And look how many times a 4 minute mile has been destroyed since then. I mean,
Yeah.
and the same is true because sometimes a doctor will tell a family member, well, your loved ones, they're, the chances are not good or they're not supposed to make it back, but yet the loved one wasn't ready to go and and what's for supper, you know,
Yes.
and
They wake up, get up, and walk out.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's really amazing. It gives us an insight to how much power this inner spirit that's full of energy, that who we are, the real us, deep down inside, underneath the flesh, how
Yes.
much power that we have. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, our
And
bodies, the electrical circuitry in our bodies, we could
mm,
run the entire city of New York for 3 months.
mm,
Just one of our bodies,
yeah,
just the electrical circuits that we have. And
yeah,
the power that we have in our thoughts is unbelievable. It's so
hmm,
true when they used to tell us as kids, if you think you can't, you're right.
yeah. It's what it was. Henry Ford made that comment. If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. That's
Yes,
so true. That's so
yes,
true.
yes.
And I tell people sometimes life is like a rose bush. There's some people in life, they're just going to look at the thorns and think about, man, that would hurt. And there's other people that just look at the roses and admire the beauty, and they watch the little honeybees come in and collect the nectar, and they enjoy the beauty of life and what life really means. And I said, you can walk around in life all you want to and stare at the thorns and, just enjoy yourself being miserable,
Yeah, back up and be scared of being pricked. I mean, Wayne Dyer says it beautifully. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. It really is our perspective. If we have a perspective, a thought process that says cane, walker, wheelchair, bed, dead, then that's what we're going to have. That's what we've decided. That's what we believe is going to take place. And so if you change that perspective into a different possibility that's more expansive for you and allows you to have choice with it, literally unlocking your limitless life is possible.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that I used to struggle with, is, of course, I always have my list of things. And when I owned my manufacturing business, I used to, have my list of things. And every single day or every single week, depending on how long it was, I'd look at my list and I would just focus on the things I did not get done.
Right.
Yeah. And I'd go,
how long did that make you?
I was going to do that. And, I tell you, that would upset me.
Yeah.
But I was too narrow-minded, and I'll be honest, too ignorant, okay, to realize I should give thanks for the things I was able to get done because I took care of a lot of other things that came up that needed attention.
Yes.
But I punished myself
right
for what I didn't get done. And I know there's folks out there in TV land can say, well, Jim, I can understand that. And the thing of it is that let it go. Give thanks for what you were able to get done and you can do.
For everything.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for even if gratitude for everything.
Even if you didn't get this list done and you went out and played a round of golf. Hallelujah. That shows you got intelligence. Because if you don't have if you're not enjoying life, you've missed the boat.
What? My son and I, we had this kind of game we play. I would turn to him and I'd say, are we having fun? And if he said no, I go, okay, we've got to fix it.
Yeah.
And what if that is really what living was all about? Having fun. And if you weren't having fun, you found a way to fix it. That is my recommendation for people because having fun is a high vibrational frequency. And how little were you when you were told to knock it off and stop it and grow up and now and there's no more recess at school and there's no more playtime and you have to put the dolls away and you have to put the G.I. Joe men and play was eliminated out of our life and it was it was and all of that is part of the entrainment that we've had and goofing around. I mean that was I can just tell you so many stories. What if our kids know what works for them? What if our parents know what works for them? What if our friends know what works for them? Who's for us to say what should work for somebody else?
Oh yeah. When you have a chance to laugh, you should laugh, right?
Yes. So laughter is one of the ways that will instantly change your frequency. The other thing is music.
Oh, yeah.
If I have something to give your audience, it would be those two things. If you're feeling sad or down or depressed or unhappy or you don't have enough, lack, less than, whatever that happens to be for you, put on some music and start laughing because those are the two things that will instantly change your frequency and bring it up from where
Yeah, and also be sure and get up so you can get down when you get to dancing there, But I put on these glasses for a reason. I was going to share a little joke with her. I was in Orlando getting ready to speak on a stage. I had on a blazer and a coat and tie. And I get on the elevator with these ladies and I see them over in the corner. They're whispering, looking at me, and I wasn't paying attention because I got my mind on what I'm going to say when I get on stage. And the doors open at the bottom, and I said, go ahead, ladies. And they went ahead, and one of them says, excuse me, sir, are you Bob Proctor? And I said, no, ma'am, I'm Bob's little brother, Jim. He had the flu and couldn't make it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I said, ma'am, I'm just having fun with you. I'm no relation to Mr. Proctor. I'm just dressed up like this because I got to be on stage and speak. She said, well, I saw your picture down there. And I said, I told whatever girl, the lady's name's with her. I think that's Bob Proctor. And I go, my picture was down there. Are you kidding me? Boy, let me take a picture of that and send that home to mother. She'll be proud of me. But I had never even thought of it, And then I was in Phoenix and I told the story. And this lady says, Bob Proctor, I know him. He lives over here in Scottsdale. This is before Mr. Proctor died. And she says, we ought to call him and tell him about it. I says, there's no need to call Mr. Proctor and aggravate him and ruin his day. Come on. And I said it in the joke. She kind of like looked at me at first like I was serious. I says, if you're taking me serious, I don't know what I can say, because I can't take this thing called life seriously, because life is made to love and to enjoy yourself and to be a blessing to others and live it. Because so many people I've seen in my life, and I struggled with this too for many years in the 70s because I drank a lot. I know what it's like to be miserable. It's no fun. But let it go. Let it go. Susan, I tell you, I got to get you and Bill together because we can put on a show. Because Bill's doing a series right now on the radio show. Me and him, in fact, we record that on Wednesdays. And because I know you guys are going to, oh, yeah.
All in.
Yeah, you guys will carry the show. I'll just sit back and nobody will miss me.
Well, thank you, Bob Proctor.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just say,
Bill and Bob Proctor.
Great time for me. Yeah. I tell you, and I joke about that because if all the things I've ever been told I look like, that was a first for me, and it was all because the lady saw my picture from a distance. I wanted to speak.
What a compliment, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I could just think I'd go get along as Bob Proctor. Yeah.
At least for a Halloween costume.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But he was a tremendous man. He really was. And ladies and gentlemen, our time is gone. My goodness gracious, Susan, thank you so much for being with us. It's been fun. We got to do this again. And I'd like to get you and Bill on a show. In fact, we will get on the show together because I know by knowing you, what I've heard from you, and then knowing Bill all these years, holy smackeritas, that's going to be a great, great show,
We could have a lot of fun together for sure.
Oh, yeah. Am
I able to offer a free gift for your audience?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, I just wanted to offer anyone. So if you're stuck anywhere in your life at all, if you feel like things are slow, you have to, do things that, don't feel like they're in alignment. If you don't feel like you're, living your soul's goals, then absolutely positively come SusanShatzer.com, go where it says, help me now, or get with me now, and book your time with me. And it's complimentary. And I'll go into your reality and I'll see like where you're stuck, what that is. I'll eliminate it and we'll get you started back on path. We'll get you back on track. Absolutely. No problem.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Susan. And on behalf of Susan, we got to go, ladies and gentlemen. We're out of time, but be sure and love yourself first, forgive yourself, love others, and most importantly, all the things in life that aggravate you and upset you, it doesn't serve you, so let it go. Otherwise, if you serve it, you're going to become its slave. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.